Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So guys, today we are going to discuss about one of the most interesting topic of the reactjs, that is HOC, high ordered components. So guys, in this video I'm going to discuss why it is important, because in the previous video we discussed about that why it is needed, because you know that when we need to use the component logics and to another components, or from parent we need to pass to nth number of child the same logic, we do not prefer the props. So that's why we React introduced actually HOC, and we are going to get benefit from it. And React introduces this in 16.8 version. And this is very good topic, and we can use the advanced techniques for using the component logic using the HOC. So let's get started, guys. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, you can subscribe to my channel. Channel name is Amir Parvez, and the course playlist is in the description, the complete React.js developer course. And if you miss anything while writing the code, I have shared all the source code. So you can write the source code and you can download and see if you miss anything, or see any CSS or anything which actually confused you, or have any doubt in the video if you miss anything. So let's get started, guys. What is actually HOC? HOC is actually an advanced technique in React.js for reusing the component logic. So in the previous video, we discussed about if we have a parent component and we need to use that logic, let's suppose from the component tree to the sixth nested component, so that we cannot pass the props because it is not a good approach. So we can actually use the HOC, because it is the HOC is going to is a function that takes the component. It actually that takes the component and return back a new component, right, guys? So you need to remember one thing: it is not going to actually modify or mutate the component, but it is going to return a new component. And also, it is going to compose a component for, or we can write the code that can be reusable multiple times or the multiple components. And HOC is a pure function; it has no side effects, and it will return always return a new component, right, guys? So let's see. In the previous video we have two components, and we have written a similar logic in both. Like I click here, it actually increment the number. If I write the right here, let's assume that if I write here, it actually counts the number of inputs. So let's suppose if user come with a new requirement and they said they need to have one more component here, and if they hover over that, they need to count that how many times they have hovered. So in these three components, I can say that the same logic is going to be used, that is count how many times that action perform. So why don't we make a higher component, and we can use that logic and reuse that logic in all these three components. So let get into the example. What we need to do, we need to create a new component here, and I'm going to name it counter HOC, whatever you can name it, it's up to you. And I'm going to say I'm going to use a snippet for RFCE that will create return a functional React functional export component, right, guys? So in this, I'm going to say I need to remove this. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm going to take some input. I'm to make const and arrow functions, and I'm going to say old component. So in this way, you will understand better. Okay, so now I'm going to say I'm going to return something, and in this I'm going to return a new function because I'm working on the function-based component. So I'm going to wrapper counter. This is the name of the function, and in this I'm going to pass some props. And now I'm going to return what I need to return here. I'm going to return something new component, right? I'm going to say old component, or you can say the component here, whatever name you need to pass, and I'm going to say it, return a name to it, right? Okay, cool. My name Amir, and I need to return that. So wherever I'm going to use this component will have all these values. Cool, guys. Okay, now I need to make sure everything is working fine. That looks good. Okay, great. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this first in the input control. I'm going to say it because you remember one thing, that here it was suggested that you need to pass as an argument your component. So I'm going to pass here as an argument, and now I'm going to import this Docker HOC component, and I can get from here. Cool, guys. And in the props, I can get this and right. So here, if I come here and see now, so you can see here the value are, let me explain with example. So now you can see here I pass this component to actually our HOC component. And this HOC component takes our component and it actually return back a new component with a new field or attribute name Amer. So this is how we are going to actually work on the component. So now I'm going to I'm going to remove this actually counter logic because I don't want this counter logic in both the components. I'm going to cut from here and I'm going to pass it here. Great. And now I'm going to use that and I'm going to say it. Okay, cool. I'm going to use this props. I need to maintain the state. And then I'm going to say counter handler. I'm going to bind this and the count as well as. Okay, cool. Great, guys. Now I'm going to remove this logic from here and now I'm going to use the props and all I'm going to do is const and count and the second is count handler. Great. I'm getting this from props. Great, guys. The same thing I'm going to use it for because used is not imported here, so I import this here. Same thing I'm going to use it for button as well as. So now let's go and remove all the things for button, and I'm going to say count and count handler, and I'm going to get all this thing from props. Cool. I need to import this props here. Okay. I need to pass in the parameter. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to use this HOC component and pass this component here again. Same thing for this as well as I need to import this, import. I need to pass the URL from where I'm going to import this. Cool. And now you can see here, first I create a component and it gets the old component and it is going to return a new function. And in this function, I'm actually managing all this states counting. And on the component, I'm going to pass the handler and as well as the new component value count. And I'm going to return a new component here now. Right, guys? So once I go in the input, it is going to pass the component and it is going to get the new value. In the props, we are going to get all the count and the handler. So once I click on this, it is going to hit that props count handler and it is going to hit this logic, right, guys? This is not very difficult to understand if you have watched my previous video. In that I explained about the states, I explained about the how we can pass data to child to parent and parent to child and also the properties. So it's going to be very easy and interesting. So let's now go and run this. If I click here, it is going to update this, and if I click here, so see guys, I have written the logic one time in the HOC component, but it's going to reusable to the multiple components. So let's assume if we have the third component here, and I'm going to hover that, I do not need to rewrite the counter logic. It is going to use the HOC component logic. So this is how we achieve this part. A higher order component is an advanced technique in React for reusing the component logic. So we are reusing it, that's good because we write the counter logic one time and we pass to our components like this, and we get the component and we pass all these things, these new actually fields and events to our component, and now our component is not the old component. Now this component is going to be a new component. In the props, you are going to get the value from the HOC and you can use that. So guys, we also achieve this part as well as that when in the higher component we need to pass the function, which is fine, and then it will take a component and return a new component. That's true. It's have to take the component and return back the new component. So guys, this is going to be this is an interesting video. I hope you understand the HOC components concept. If you have any confusion, you can write in the comments or reach out to me emails or Instagram or Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe and like my channel. And I'm doing my hard work to actually explain you all the concept of React.js. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day and hope you are enjoying my videos. And there is one assignment for you in the last, and that is I didn't add the third component. You can add four or five multiple components here and reuse that logic. so that you will be sure that you understand all this concept, and write me in the comment that if you understand these concepts. Thank you very much, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.